Я твой работник.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport for the 52nd airport update. Today, we'll get started over here at Concourse A with the regionals, and then we'll progress our way over. We have a new airline that has returned back to service here for the season, so we'll see that later today. But for now, we'll get started over here in Terminal 1, and then we'll conclude over by Terminal 2 with this airline that has returned back to MSP, so that is very exciting. But anyways, we will be getting started right here with the Delta Connection CRJ-900 and the Comair 30 years of flight livery. This aircraft arrived in from Wausau, Wisconsin. We'll be heading out to New York JFK. This one is operated by Endeavor. Our next aircraft here is the Shapeways Custom CRJ-900. This aircraft is also operated by Endeavor. This one arrived in from Cleveland. It'll be heading out to another city in Ohio, that being Cincinnati. Next back here we have the third CRJ-900. This one is SkyWest operated, and it is actually the real aircraft was the actual model right here, 8000 Kilo, which is the new 2024 Gemini Jets release of the CRJ-900. This one arrived from Green Bay, Wisconsin. We'll be heading out to South Bend, Indiana. Finally, at the very end here, we have the CRJ-700, and so still these being quite prominent at MSP, but this is the only one in today's update, and it is in the regular Delta livery instead of the SkyWest house livery. This one is operated by SkyWest, though, and arrived in from Williston, and it'll be on the turnaround today. Alright, and here we have the American Eagle E145. This is obviously filling in for the Key Lime Air / Denver Air Connection E145, but today it's not actually Denver Air Connection. Today is a very special substitution. So this apparently was the airline was Intel Air Shuttle and was operated by Intel Air Shuttle on behalf of Key Lime Air. So that's quite a special circumstance right there. Of course, this one arrived in from Pierre, South Dakota, and we'll be heading back out there, which is Key Lime Air's relatively new route, or Denver Air Connection's relatively new route here from MSP, but it was operated with an Intel Air E145, which is quite interesting. Not seen that here before. Yeah, it's basically just like this white aircraft and with some blue accents. So it kind of looks like this American Eagle E145 a little bit, but it's still very interesting that we did not get a regular Denver Air E145 in here, and instead we got this Intel. It was a E145 XR, so it had the winglets on it, which is not present on the regular Denver Air Connection ones either. So yeah, very unique there, and cool to see that in the airport update today. Alright, and now move into the C Concourse here. We will begin with this Delta Connection CRJ-900, operated by Endeavor Air. This one arrived in from Columbus, Ohio. We'll be making the flight out to Des Moines in Iowa today. Alright, now moving into our E-Jets here. I mean, when's the last update that we haven't had all these three lined up right here in the C Concourse? We'll begin there on the far left with the enhanced winglets version of the U-75 by Gemini Jets. This one is operated by SkyWest and arrived in from Appleton, Wisconsin. We'll be heading out to Pittsburgh. In the middle here, speaking of Pittsburgh, remember the SkyWest U-75. This one arrived in from Pittsburgh. We'll be heading out to Washington, Dulles. And finally, we have the E-175 without the enhanced winglets, but the actual aircraft did have them, but this is the Shapeways doesn't have an enhanced winglets version of the E-175, unfortunately. But this one arrived in from Louisville. We'll be heading out to Great Falls, and this is also operated by SkyWest. Alright, now we'll move on to our mainline aircraft here, beginning with the A321 there in the back. This one arrived in from San Diego, California. We'll be heading out to Seattle. And next to that one here, we have the 737-800. And this one arrived in from Baltimore, and we'll be heading out to San Juan, Puerto Rico. And at the always difficult to access Charlie 1 here is this Delta 717-200. This one arrived in from St. Louis, Missouri, and it is just about to get ready for the service out to Kansas City. Shout out to Airliners International 2024, which will be held in Kansas City, Missouri. And the airport that this aircraft is heading out to, MCI. So, very cool right there. And that'll conclude the C Concourse today. Alright, now into our surprisingly busy D Concourse today. We have 3 aircraft here, which normally we see 1 or none. So this is quite interesting to see here in this airport update. This is the smallest concourse at the airport with only 5 active gates. There are 6, but only 5 of them are really active, as Delta 1 is pretty much never used. Or now it's just used for storage. In the back there we have the Delta A320-100. This aircraft arrived in from Houston Intercontinental, and will be heading back out there today on the turnaround. In the middle here we have the NG models version of the 737-900. This aircraft arriving in from Seattle, will be heading out to Denver. And then finally here we have the A321 Thank You, Delta A321 in the Thank You livery. This aircraft arrived in from Boston, will be heading back out east to Baltimore. And into the E-gates now. We'll begin with the American 737-800 right there. This aircraft arrived in from the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, or not Citrus Aviation, that's Wright River Aviation's airport. It'll be on the turnaround today, back out there. And then next down here we have this American A319, and this aircraft is in from Washington, D.C.A. We'll be heading back out there today, another turnaround here for these 2 American mainline aircraft. And now into the United gates here, we have a pair of E-170 family aircraft. It actually should be a third, but I ran out of United E-170s to put in the airport, so we only have these 2 right here. We will begin in the foreground with this E-170 proper here. This is operated by Republic. This one arrived in from New York, Newark, and we'll be heading back out there today on the turnaround. Behind that one, we have the SkyWest operated United Express UN-75, and this one arrived in from Chicago O'Hare, and another turnaround for this aircraft. It will be heading back out to Chicago. So very nice right there. There's been a whole bunch of E-170/E-175s flying here, not only for Delta, but also American and United. United has quite a few flying into MSP, some of which I do think can be replaced by mainline, like Newark and San Francisco especially. I feel like those could be on mainline. And Chicago is a very big destination out of MSP anyway, so I don't really think that one really needs to be in the E-175 either. That could probably get a mainline upgrade. But as of now, probably going into the summer season, those are going to get put on mainline. But as of right now, they are on the E-175s. So pretty crazy that you can go to MSP and see 3 United Express E-175s at a time. So that is quite the thing. I guess I'm not sure how to describe that, but that is quite impressive, if I do say so myself. Now into the F Concourse, we will begin with this Delta 737-900. This aircraft arrived in from Denver, and you'll be heading out to Philadelphia. And one more E-175 here, because why not? This one, the American Eagle E-175, operated by Republic. And this aircraft is really taxiing out for the service out to Chicago O'Hare, and it also arrived in from there as well. So this is a turnaround as well. Back into the F Concourse here, we have this Delta A319 on the bottom of your screen. This aircraft arrived in from the Detroit Metro International Airport, and we'll be heading out to Santa Ana. And behind that one here, we have the behemoth of the Delta A330-900 Neo. Cool to see this one back in here once again. This one arrived in from Paris Charles de Gaulle, and it will be later today heading out to, or sorry, not later today. This will actually be staying overnight, and then heading out to Tokyo Haneda on the morning of the first. All these flights are from just before 6 p.m. on March 31st, by the way. So this will be heading out to Tokyo on April 1st in the morning, just before 11:20 departure time for this aircraft. So looking very nice right here. So what happens, they arrive into the G Concourse, the international flights like this one, then they get towed over to the F Concourse because there's more space over here, but there's no customs that are attached to the F Concourse, so they have to arrive into G, and then they tow them over here. So that is just an example of what this aircraft is doing today. Right here we have this Delta 77-200. This aircraft has done something very interesting today. This is a charter flight in from Winnipeg, and it pulled into the G Concourse, of course, because whoever was on it, they have to go through customs. So yeah, this one arrived into the G Concourse, and it will be later heading out to LAX on presumably just a revenue passenger service, a regularly scheduled flight out to Los Angeles. So that is pretty cool right there. They towed it over to the F Concourse, obviously, just like the Delta 330-900, so that is what this aircraft is doing here. and it'll just be chilling here before its departure out to LAX. And here is a Delta A320, beautiful model by NG. This aircraft arrived in from Indianapolis, Indiana. We'll be heading out to Raleigh, Durham in North Carolina. And that'll include the F Concourse here. Now we'll progress on to our international arrivals. And now, once again, here to begin the G Concourse, we have the SkyTeam 737-800 for Delta here. This has happened like 3 times in a row now, or something ridiculous, that this aircraft has been parked in this exact same spot in these airport updates, which is totally not intentional. And today, it was literally this exact same aircraft, 3758 Yankee, that was doing this flight. So I believe in the previous update, it said that this aircraft now has the split scimitar winglets, and that was a different Delta SkyTeam aircraft because they have two, at least two 737-800s in the SkyTeam livery. Probably only 2, but there is a second one, and it is this particular model right here, and this one does not have the split scimitar winglets yet. So that's pretty cool, I guess, which means that this aircraft is still realistic to what the aircraft actually is today. So that is very cool right here. But yeah, this aircraft arrived in from Puerto Vallarta, and it'll be heading out to Miami later today. So very nice start to the G Concourse with the beautiful SkyTeam 737-800. And just pulled in here is this beautiful Delta A330-300. This one arrived in from Amsterdam Schiphol today, and you'll be heading back out to the Amsterdam Schiphol International Airport today on the turnaround. Looking very nice. This Delta A350 is, of course, doing the turn from Seoul, but it is an overnight turn, so this will have to wait overnight and then head back out to Seoul in the morning. That is just how Delta operates them here, just like the Tokyo flights. So yeah, this one will just we'll be chilling overnight before heading back out to Seoul, but very nice to get the A350 back here once again. And yeah, so Seoul, our only route on the A350, but yeah, glad to have it on this gorgeous aircraft, and hopefully it will continue to be flown on this beautiful aircraft, and maybe just throw it out. I know it's thrown it out there a few times. Maybe we can get Tokyo on the A350 at some point in the future. That would be really cool to see. But for now, it is on the 330-900neo. But good to see that Seoul continuing on the A350. All right, and here is this Delta A321. This aircraft arrived in from Fort Myers, and will be heading out to San Diego today. All right, and now into the end here of the G Concourse. We'll actually wait for the 757 because it's kind of being cut off in this shot here, so we'll end the Terminal 1 with that aircraft. But we will first get this 737-900 right here. This is the 2023 Gemini Jets release, and this aircraft arrived in from the Los Angeles LAX International Airport. We'll be heading we'll be heading out to Las Vegas today. Behind that one, we have this A220-300 here, and this aircraft arrived in from Dallas-Fort Worth, DFW, and it will be heading back out there. And this was the actual aircraft. The model is the actual aircraft that did fly on this flight. So very cool right there. 302 Delta uniform came in from Dallas-Fort Worth. We'll be heading out to San Jose. And here we have the Delta 757-200. This is actually filling in for a 753 though. This aircraft arrived in from Fort Lauderdale, and we'll be heading out to Phoenix. So that will conclude our very Delta-dominant Terminal 1 here. So we will only have one more Delta aircraft to get to here because we do have to get one more. But then we'll move into some other airlines to wrap up this airport update. And here is the gorgeous pencil plane, the Delta 77-300. This one has just touched down after arriving in from the Tampa International Airport. Today it'll be on the turnaround back up to TPA, so that is very nice to see right there. Also, that is one of my new airport update series that has recently come to the channel. Very cool airport, and this is an airport that I'm very familiar with myself, as I have been there a whole bunch of times. I mean, it's the airport that I've been to the second most after MSP, so I'm very familiar with the facilities out there at TPA, and it is very cool to finally be doing airport updates for that airport, and it is a very cool one indeed if you ever get the chance to visit. The airport itself is pretty unique, and then, of course, Tampa is a pretty cool city. I mean, I guess it's not super flashy compared to like Orlando, which is close by, I guess, and they have a whole, they have all the theme parks, but Tampa, they've got a streetcar, so that's kind of cool. Streetcar, All right, and here we have both of our FedEx aircraft today. Both of these doing the same thing. We have the 767, which arrived in from Memphis, will be heading back out there, and also the MD-11 will be on the turn from Memphis today, but that one is currently pulling into the gate after it just landed in from Memphis. So, yeah, very Memphis heavy here in the FedEx gates, but I guess that's just what we expect for FedEx. I guess that's not super surprising. So here they are, doing what they like to do. And here is the UPS 767-300. And this one also doing the thing you'd expect it to do. This one arrived in from Louisville. We'll be heading back out there today. Another turnaround here in the cargo section. And now we will progress on to Terminal 2. Here is the Sun Country Transavia hybrid delivery, 737-800. Filling in for, of course, the Arial text font 737-800s. This one arrived in from Fort Myers, Florida, and is currently taxiing out for the service out to Dallas-Fort Worth. Once again, that is Red River Aviation's airport. And now into our Sun Countries here. We will begin with the 737-800 there in the back with the 4 years of flight sticker and the split scimitar wingless. And this is the actual aircraft. Once again, we've had that so many times in this airport update, and this is the actual aircraft that did fly these routes right here. 842 Sierra Yankee. Arrived in from Puerto Vallarta, and we'll be heading out to Orlando. In the middle here, we have the old livery, 737-800, and this aircraft has arrived in from Cancun, and it will be heading out to Denver. Ironically, this is the same aircraft that I flew out to Cancun last year, which I was actually in on this date last year, so that's kind of cool. And then we will conclude with the 737-800. This aircraft arrived in from Cancun, and it will be heading out to Nashville. So yeah, a whole bunch of Cancun flights for Sun Country. This one is the later arrival, but they have like 3 or 4 daily Cancun flights, which is kind of ridiculous. But here's this one in the new Tide Pod livery. And welcome back, Icelandair to MSP. This service has recently just resumed this past week. Summer seasonal, but it actually is most of the year seasonal. It just takes off in like January and February, no pun intended. But it is now back for the air quote summer season. So yeah, it arrived in from Reykjavik, Keflavik, which is even more fun to say than Amsterdam. That is probably the most fun airport name out there. And it will be heading back out to Keflavik today. Of course, on the turnaround, where else would Icelandair fly? Yeah, cool to see it back on the MAX 8 here, but it looks like it will be coming back on the 757 in the summer. That's at least what I've heard. It was originally only supposed to be on the MAX 8s, but it looks like the 757 will return for the summer, and that is very exciting, so I will be sure to get Icelandair 757 model in here when the 757s return here to MSP, so that will be very exciting. But for now, it is on the MAX 8. And that is still looking very nice here. So glad to see Icelandair's return for the foreseeable future here until the weather gets nasty again. All right, and this Allegiant A320 right here has arrived in from Sarasota, Florida. And today will be on the turnaround. It was just getting its last bags loaded up and the passengers boarding. It will soon be heading out to Sarasota. And now we'll conclude with Southwest here with 2 737-800s. The Canyon Blue livery there in the back. Now these are all have been repainted into the Heart livery, but I needed the second 737-800, and this one felt like the right aircraft to put in here. Like I said, even though these are pretty much all gone now, I still do want to include the Canyon Blue aircraft in the airport updates once they have been retired. So here's an example of that. This one arrived in from St. Louis, Missouri. We're heading out to Denver. And our final aircraft for today's update is this Heart livery with split scimitar 737-800, which arrived in from Denver, and it will be heading out to Baltimore later tonight. And so that'll do it for this update of the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. Yeah, cool to see Icelandair is back. Well, we welcome them back here with open arms, as they've been serving MSP strong for the past 26 years, which is really crazy to think about. Delta has a whole lot of action going on here, and next month we will see a whole bunch of new services come to MSP, which I am very excited about to show you guys in these airport updates. So just stay tuned for just 2 more updates probably, and then we'll get some cool new stuff in here that we haven't seen for a while or ever in these MSP airport updates. So yeah, stay tuned for those, but that'll do it for today. I will see you tomorrow. As always, good night. Auf Wiedersehen.